The year was 1947. India had just achieved independence. It was a time of great hope and aspiration. The nation dreamt of marking its place in the global economy. But the road to achieving this dream was strewn with challenges. India's GDP was low, exports were lean, dollar funding for imports was scarce, and a lion's share of industrial goods was imported. The country had won independence from foreign rule, but now it had to achieve true economic independence. It had to encourage indigenous enterprises to flourish. By providing them with opportunities and robust financing was the chosen path. Exploring ways to equip the private sector with adequate capital, the RBI set up a Committee on Finance for the private sector with the approval of the government. Based on the findings of this committee, a steering committee was set up to lay the foundation of a private financial institution. Led by Mr. A.D. Shroff, an eminent industrialist, the committee comprised intellectual giants and industry luminaries of that time. Around the same time, the World Bank was looking for an agency through which it could channel its funds into industries in India. At the confluence of these two intentions, the Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India, popularly known as ICICI, was conceived. It was set up as a development financial institution that would provide medium and long-term financing to Indian businesses towards boosting independent India's growth. ICICI was launched on the 5th of January 1955. It commenced its journey from a buzzing business address in current-day Mumbai. Shortly after, it received a loan from the Government of India and a line of credit from the World Bank. The corporation began providing assistance in both rupee and foreign currency to private enterprises from a wide spectrum of industries. Under the stewardship of its sterling leaders, ICICI became profitable in its very first year of operation. Within a decade of its existence, ICICI had financed a plethora of projects which cemented the foundation of a strong and resilient base of indigenous enterprises across the country. It sanctioned assistance worth over 100 crore rupees to 328 companies, around half of them being new. The quantum of assistance is equivalent to over 2,000 crore rupees today. Projects financed by ICICI alone in its first 10 years of operations empowered the economy to annually produce 150,000 tons of paper, which is equivalent in length to over 1,000 round trips between Kashmir and Kanyakumari. 217,000 tons of superphosphate, a critical ingredient for better crop yields in a predominantly agrarian India. 20,000 tons of wire ropes and 173,000 tons of steel tubes. Time and again, sensing the need of the hour, ICICI dedicated itself into the service of the nation that aspired to grow rapidly and independently. In the face of dire cement shortages, when India was importing at a premium of almost 50% over domestic prices, ICICI funded an annual capacity amounting to a third of India's total cement production. During the exodus of foreign auto sector brands, ICICI channeled 16% of its total commitments to indigenous enterprises in India's nascent automotive sector. By the end of the decade, ICICI had been serving the Indian economy by partnering with domestic corporations on their journeys. Many of these companies would go on to expand, create jobs and incomes, and foster progress. Some would become household names and domestic icons, and others would put India on the global map. As ICICI entered the next phase, little did it know that emergent India would face new challenges. During these winds of change, it would reorient itself to the country's newer priorities. It expanded, evolved, and set in motion organizations that would eventually play significant roles in the country's development.